Good evening, followers, and welcome to a first video update for southern and central Queensland weather. And tonight we're focusing on tropical cyclone Nathan. And so let's get into it. And here we have the latest Bureau of Meteorology cyclone forecasted map. And we could see that at 10 a.m. March the 20th, that's 10 a.m. this morning, Tropical Cyclone Nathan was there just to the south of Bathurst Head and travelling in this generally westerly direction. At 7 p.m. tonight, it was downgraded to a Category 1 system just south of or southwest of Cowan. And by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, it is expected to have gone offshore again into the Gulf of Carpentaria, still being a tropical cyclone strength 1 at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. By 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, still expected to be a Category 1 system in the middle of the Gulf of Carpentaria. So it is moving quite rapidly in a west to maybe a west-north system or west-northwest direction. Then by 7 a.m. on March the 22nd, so that is 7 a.m. Sunday morning, it is expected to have re-intensified into a Category 2 system and be sitting off the coast there of the Northern Territory. And then by 7 p.m. on Sunday evening, it is expected to have crossed over just the very northeastern tip over near Arnhem Land and be sitting maybe just off the coast there of the Northern Territory by 7 p.m. on Sunday night, and then by Monday morning 7 a.m. it is expected to be a Category 1 cyclone system once again and sitting off the coast of the Northern Territory. Looking at the expected rainfall from this system now as it continues to head off the Queensland coast and into the Gulf of Carpentaria. And what we can see that is the heaviest falls are expected by tomorrow to be off the coast of the Queensland, off the peninsula there and in the Gulf, but still there are some fairly heavy type showers right across that northern tip of Queensland in the peninsula and in the just the top tip of Queensland. If we now have a look on through till Sunday, what we can see is that rainfall has pretty much moved off the coast, and the only rainfall that the state is expecting to see on Sunday is right up on the northern tip of the state, in the Weipa and the Coon and the Cape Melville area. We've also got some activity happening down here in the southeast, spreading up into the Central Highlands type of area and the Central West. The heavier falls, although, are being located here in the Tambu, Gayndah, Roma, and St George, Goondiwindi, Toowoomba, all those sort of areas could be expecting some type of rain activity on Sunday. Moving on now through to Monday, and by this time, well, most of the rainfall activity has moved right off the coast of the tip of Queensland there from Tropical Cyclone Nathan. That rainfall that was being experienced down here in the southern and central areas has pretty much dissipated to some very isolated rainfalls. And then on to Tuesday, and what we can see Tuesday is that, well, Nathan has truly left the Queensland area, and there's only these very isolated showers happening here in the Gulf districts and also in the Northwest districts and also along here at the tip on the peninsula and around the Coon area and Cape Melville area. We have a look now at the satellite imagery brought to us by the Bureau of Meteorology, and well, we can see that this is where Tropical Cyclone Nathan is right at the moment. It has crossed the coastline and is now heading in this westerly direction across the tip of Queensland. But you can just see that all this area here is associated with that cyclone. It's still got a good outflow here through to its southwest, but on its western side. But it is losing intensity while ever it is over land. But then once it gets off land, it's got very good a very good chance of re-intensifying. Okay, so now let's have a look at what the models are saying about the future for Tropical Cyclone Nathan. And this is the GFS model run as of 7 tonight. And at 9 p.m. tonight, Tropical Cyclone Nathan was situated, or is said to be situated, off the coastline according to the GFS, still packing a punch to its southern quadrants, but pretty much off land and not really affecting a whole lot of communities by this stage. Now, if we go through just until 9 a.m. If we have a look at 6 p.m., for Saturday night, what we can see is that Tropical Cyclone Nathan has gained a little bit of intensity as it approaches this the Northern Territory area. Anywhere from its eastern quadrant right through to its southern quadrant is expecting some quite strong gale force winds. Now, this type of scenario here can be quite a problematic scenario, especially for this area of land in this area, and especially this little island just off the coast there, because these strong winds would be pushing the storm tide up and making the tides quite a lot larger than what they normally are. So that would not be a very good scenario for those areas. Now we go through until 6 a.m. on Sunday, and we can see that by this time the GFS is expecting that Nathan has crossed just that northeastern quadrant of the Northern Territory and Arnhem Land. It has crossed that coast and is now just sitting on the very edge of the north coast of the Northern Territory. Now, if we just go a little bit further through now until Sunday evening, just to see what happens with Cyclone Nathan, and by 6 p.m. we can see that he's off land once again. He's off the northern coastline of the Northern Territory, not really doing a lot at this stage. It's probably a very weak Category 1, maybe even just a tropical depression at this stage, but not really packing that much of a punch. There is a little bit of gale winds down here on its southern side, but really nothing to worry about by this stage. And just we'll have a look now at 6 a.m. on Monday. And that time we can see that Cyclone Nathan has pretty much moved off the coastline of the Northern Territory. Maybe some strong winds here still to its southern side, so affecting these areas around here, and maybe some gale force winds here on the eastern side of the Tiwi Islands, but really not affecting too much at this stage. So that's the GFS. Let's have now a look at the Europe. Now the European is showing us that at 9 p.m, much like the GFS was showing us, Cyclone Nathan has crossed the coast and is now sitting off the coast in the Gulf of Carpentaria waters there. Now if we go through until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we can see that Cyclone Nathan has continued its westerly direction and seems to be re-intensifying as it gets closer here to the Northern Territory coastline, packing some gale force winds here now to its southern and its western side. So really starting to re-intensify at this time. Now, if we look through to 9 p.m. tomorrow night, and we can see that by that time, Cyclone Nathan is just sitting off the coastline of the Northern Territory coastline here, and really has picked up some more punch on its southern side or southwestern sort of side, really pushing this storm tide up onto the coastline of the Northern Territory. So really not good news for these guys in this area, for any communities that might be in that area. They would be getting absolutely hammered with these storm tides from these strong winds on the cyclone's southern quadrant. If we now, before we do that, if we just have a look now here at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, and we can see that at that time, the European is expecting that Cyclone Nathan will be off the coastline of the Northern Territory, northern coastline, and really not affecting too much at this stage. It looks like it's really lost a lot of its intensity as it's crossed this northeastern quadrant of the Northern Territory. Then if we have a look through till 9 p.m. on Sunday night, and at that time Cyclone Nathan has continued in this northwesterly sort of track off the northern coastline of the Northern Territory. It seems to be somewhat trying to get going again. So we may not be out of the woods too much at the moment. Cyclone Nathan might have more to give us. So then if we have a look at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and at that time the system is expected to have continued going across the northern coastline of the Northern Territory, but it's heading in a westerly direction towards Western Australia at this time, and it seems to have been, it's either keeping maybe a very weak strength, maybe a category 1 strength, or it may have been by this time not actually considered a cyclone, as these winds are now not really wrapping in close to the eye. So this eye system here is quite wide at this time. So it may have by this stage been classified into an ex-tropical cyclone at this stage, but we'll leave the Bureau up to make that call. Just wanted to show you now what Cyclone Nathan looks like from its wind perspective, and here we can see swirling away. At this stage, it looks like it is still over land, but it is making its way off land at this stage. But probably it's not as strong as what it may have looked like a couple of days ago, but certainly is still a cyclone by this stage, a Category 1 cyclone, as it continues to move itself across land and off to the Gulf of Carpentaria waters, where, as we said before, it is expected to re-intensify before then crossing this very northern or northeastern section of the Northern Territory. So followers, that is all we've got for tonight. We'll keep you updated with video updates throughout the life of Tropical Cyclone Nathan until he does leave the Queensland area. But if you've enjoyed this video, then why not leave us a comment in our comment section and share it with your friends and family so that they can be updated with what's happening with Tropical Cyclone Nathan. So till we talk with you again sometime tomorrow, have a good evening.